Sorry I'm a little bit late, guys. I was doing a little research on poison ivy. Actually, I was doing that on the superpilotish channel. Welcome. I'll be talking about my last little camping trip that I did this weekend in my basement. Hey, Dan. Hey, DH Pilot One. Just came back from camping yesterday. Went for a nice little trip, just a couple nights out at Lee Provincial Park. It's a provincial park about an hour away from where I live, and so it was like I always found it funny that once you put on the old camping hat, you got the old bush jacket for when it gets a little chilly at night. You just start learning stuff when you're out there in the wilderness, and it's nice to take a break like that. It feels good. Some people call it forest bathing now. I call it eating breakfast burgers over a fire. But anyways, so I'll just kind of tell you a little bit about what happened out there and what I learned, and I was thinking this might be an interesting show because everybody's got their own memories of what it was like to go camping and doing things. So if you're in the chat, and you want to add something, go for it. We're all here to learn at the Super Pilotish channel. So we started off, just showed up early Friday afternoon, checked in, and we were greeted by a rose-breasted grosbeak. Yeah, it's like as soon as we pulled in there, it's like, hey, what's that bird? So, I mean, I always I always keep my my little birder book in my camping stuff, and it's like I have my deluxe one there, and then I got my older beginner book, like just for around the house. But anyways, I like to see birds, and they're like, "What is that? That's weird." Oh, that's what it is. So, a rose-breasted grosbeak, very cool looking bird, hangs out. He's got like a red chest, kind of white and black. There we go, cool bird right off the bat. So I knew it was going to be a good camping trip. And so this was another thing there too that I learned was that usually anytime I'd ever gone camping before, I don't bring a cell phone with me just to be part of nature and stuff. But this time I did. Actually, I'm lying to you. I did bring a phone. It had no data on it. There's no Wi-Fi out on the campsite, so I just used it as a video, just as a camera. So, but this time I do have some data on my phone, and I thought, okay, well, let's bring the phone out there. I was thinking I might do a little video, but couldn't really think of anything. So this is it for a camping video. But so bringing your phone out there, I never really realized that. I mean, everybody lives on their phone these days, except for me, pretty much. But I never really thought about it till this camping trip that it's a really good tool for people that, especially if you haven't really been camping too much, there's all that world of information right on your phone out in the wilderness. How do I start a fire? There's YouTube videos on that. I have an old one that I put up on mine. And hey, Corey. So and then it's like, well, I never really wanted to bring any type of I don't know, computery phoning kind of stuff, just because you're out in nature, you don't want to be sitting there scrolling through your phone all day. I'm always really I don't know. I always think that that's kind of addictive, getting tablets and phones, and like it's just too, it warps your brain, man. So I try to stay away from them, keep the brain more active. But so I did check. I was trying to think, what did I actually use my phone for that was handy, and it was. Well, of course, I always check them. I want to see how many views my videos get here, but and check any notifications on Twitter to see if people don't like my goofy tweets. But one thing that was, I guess, it was a bit of a time saver, energy saver, was that we did have just a little bit of rain on the weekend. It was just starting to come, and then it was getting a little bit more. And I was like, oh no. And thinking about it now, how did I ever go camping without weather radar? It's just like, and then, my girlfriend was out there and she's like, well, how long is it going to last? We should check the radar. And it's like, oh yeah, you can check your radar with your phone. So it's just like, there was like these just one little isolated cell right over top of our campsite. It went away. That was it. So it's like didn't have to set up a tarp over the and panic about, oh no, everything's gonna get soaked. Move it all into the car, the tents, everything, and it's just like, yeah, it saved us from putting up a tarp, and it was a pretty good thing. And the other thing about that is just for, oh hey, Ranch. The other thing there is just general coordination of people showing up at the campsite. Hey, when are you planning on being here? Okay, we'll make sure the fire's going and we'll be ready for a burger when you show up. Something like that. So, anyways, there's another thing there that the phone helped out, but it wasn't my phone; it was someone else's phone. So I thought this is really funny because I got my hat here, my standard Tilly hat, which actually does float. It doesn't sink to the bottom if you get out of your canoe and you wipe out. It'll be floating right there. So yeah, I had my Tilly hat on. I must have been looking like pretty official or something like that. And there was there was this group of kids. It was probably there was like 3 kids here, then a couple kids back with an adult. And the one kid, it was pretty funny because this little kid, he's probably like, I don't know, 8 maybe or something like that. He's got this shirt that says ACDC on it. And I'm like, I like this kid. So it's like, and he walks up to me and he says, "Excuse me, mister. Can you tell us what poison ivy looks like?" It's just like, it's just some stranger kid, like, "Hey, mister, can you tell us what poison ivy looks?" I was like, and to tell you the truth, I was like, I've never actually seen poison ivy. I just know what I've been told as a kid, or at summer camp, or just what you hear. And so I kind of BS the kid a little bit, but it turned out I was right. Was that it was like, why, yes, young man, this is what poison ivy looks like. The only thing that I remember about poison ivy to watch out for was that, and then so this was obviously the guy's dad was a little bit further back there. He was kind of watching me explain to these kids what poison ivy looks like, and it's funny, they all kind of gathered around. I put the old instructor hat on, like it was kind of funny. Yeah, so the whole saying, and this is what I told the kids, the thing about poison ivy is you got to look for leaves that are in a group of 3. 3 is the magic number. So they always say, if there's 3, let it be. So, and then I went back home and just researched it before the show. But when I was there, I found this. I found a tree kind of snapped off a branch. Well, little one, you're not supposed to snap it off, but I figure it was for like educational purposes. So I snapped off. It had like I don't know what kind of tree it was. It had leaves that looked like, I don't know, something like this, like a leaf like that or that, and it had a little stick. Okay, and then I just ripped that off the little branch, and then I need my fancy schmancy eraser here. Okay, yeah, so I grabbed three of those, 3, let it be, and I kind of arranged them on the original stick like this. I will show you. Just like that. So here's your stem, and you got 1, 2, 3 leaves. And I showed that to the kids, and it's like they can be a different size, but generally you want to watch out for something like that. And I don't know why I did it like that. And I just checked it, and like I was right. I checked it out on the internet. And actually, after I finished my whole little nature lesson with these kids, the dad shows me his phone. And it's like it looked just like that on his phone, and I'm like, "Oh, cool! I got right." So that was pretty neat. And the guy was like, the guy was pretty impressed with me. That was kind of cool. And yeah, so the only other thing that I've seen with my research for your poison ivy education of the day is that the stem of it can be green, but a lot of times it has a bit of a red tinge to it. So there we go. There's your poison ivy, and it's a vine. It'll grow up trees, and there's a lot of other vines around there. They had a group of 5 leaves, so that's cool. I don't know what kind that was. Virginia creeper. some other kind of vine that was not scratchy. So there's your poison ivy. 3, let it be. A little bit of a stem, and then they can also have little berries off of there and little flowers too. Just a few of them. So there we go. Learned something new today about poison ivy. And so that was cool. And then so the phone, the guy with the phone, he was like, yeah, that's what I got. And I'm like, yeah, this is what I got here. I made it. So that was pretty cool. I like that. The other thing I never really came across ever before was that right where our campsite was, there was this noise that we were hearing. And it was like, what the heck is that noise? It was like, rah, 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 rah. Like, is that a bird? Is that a frog? What is that? So we're trying to listen, and it's coming from over there. We move here. It's coming from over here. And it turns out, I guess, it's turtles. I never knew turtles made noise. So it's like the first time I ever heard it. Just I was never camping next to a group of turtles. And there was like a huge group of turtles right next to our campsite. It was pretty cool. And they were there like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You just turtles hanging out. And then I got this idea too that if you want to attract turtles to your property, I mean, these turtles had a sweet setup. Like I'm not a total turtle expert on turtle real estate, but if you know location, these turtles had a sweet spot. So, like if I was a turtle, I'd move in there. So, anyways, I'll show you what it looked like. Just kind of a side view. Okay, so here we go. We'll say we got the water. That is the water on the lake. And so where we were, you could see there was a tree that had fallen over because of the water eroding the shoreline, and it just kind of fell over. And so we'll kind of draw the tree like this. And maybe a little branch, and it kind of went like that. Okay, we'll do hidden dashed lines under the water. And then there was another little one here too. Here's another log. Okay, we'll see if that's any good. That is exactly what it looked like. Yeah, so anyways, but it was pretty cool that actually, you know what? I'm wrong on that. The log was actually more okay, like that. Actually, that almost looks like an airplane. Okay, we got some branches over here too. That looks like a propeller. Oh well. Yeah, maybe I'm just used to drawing airplanes on the show. So we got the log. It was coming out of the water here. That's above the water. This is below the water here. And so the turtles, they would come out during the daytime, and they be on the log up here. Okay, let's draw a turtle. They have 4 legs. They have a shell. And they have a head. And they have a tail. All right, that's turtle. One stick turtle right there. So there's the turtle on top of the log, except he wasn't walking like that. He was kind of just laying down in the sun. So you wouldn't have the legs. But it could come right up here out of the water, just walk up a nice incline, hang out in the sun. And then if there's any birds coming by, any predators or anything that kind of, campers like us kind of spying on them and spooking them out, then they can just go bloop right into the water. Instant, quick getaway. Perfect place. Like if I was a turtle, I want the quick getaway, man. I'm not getting eaten by I don't know. And that's another thing. I don't even know what eats turtles. So it's like, okay. Yeah, and then so we got to a maximum. There was 4 turtles on here, and we had 4 little baby turtles on this one down here. 8 turtles all hanging out just on a couple logs. So if you want to be a turtle landscaper, that's what you do, man. You just make it nice and easy for them to swim and climb up here, give them an escape route so they can jump right back in the water and swim away. There's another thing I learned, and they make noise too. And at night, it was like for hours. I don't know what they were trying to say. Like, hey, get out of my backyard, you campers. Something like that. Okay, so that's what I learned about camping, everything else. I kind of knew it all, Mr. Know It All. But when I came back, so I was practicing guitar this morning, and so I was getting this guy, that one there, and yeah, so it was. I went to tune it up because I have a little electronic tuner on my amp, and I noticed that I had noticed this a few times, is that usually whenever I had my guitar tuned, it was it would make sense to me that the tension on the strings would get less and less, so it would get more flat. The strings will have less tension on them. So like a rubber band, it goes bing, bing, right? So that's the that's exactly what it sounds like. So so then I noticed it a couple times that my guitar was getting more sharp. It was like the more tension on the strings. And then I thought today, oh, it's kind of muggy. We had some rain out there last night, and it's warmer, more moisture in the air, wood guitar, expansion, tension on the strings. So there we go. There's something else that I never really thought about. I don't know if that has anything to do with camping, but that's the thing about camping, is that you get little time off, and you're just very concentrated on very simple things like making your breakfast burger, or keeping the fire going, or let's go walk out and check and see if there's any other good little campsites around, maybe for next time, or just out in nature, different sounds. And your brain. You always notice too. You have like weird dreams and stuff like that when you're camping. Your brain's making sense of all this stuff in your new environment. So it's yeah, I don't know. So I think it's kind of like, oh, I heard my guitar was sharp, but my brain was clear, and boom, there we go, moisture. That makes sense to me. Yeah, so there we go. Learned a few things there. Uh, Learned what a rose-breasted grosbeak looks like. I think I'd seen one before. I'm not really too sure if I remember. And then bringing your phone, not the worst for weather radar or identifying poison ivy. And now I know exactly what poison ivy looks like. 3, let it be. And I know some great turtle real estate, and I know about guitars. So it's like, there we go, a little recap of what the show is about, and we'll check out some questions here. And if there's any questions or cool comments, I'll give you my 2 cents on it. Okay. Yeah, that Wrench was bringing this up here too, going on nature walks and identifying trees with Google photo search. I've heard about that. I haven't seen it. Like, I'm not really a super high tech kind of guy, and I'm kind of a luddite that way. But yeah, it's the technology's there. It's a tool, and I guess eventually, like, gonna have to get used to it. And yeah, very cool. Okay. Yeah, and then yeah, most people and that's another thing too. When I was checking out my channel on the phone, that was kind of another learning thing for me too. That it's like, boy, it's just giving me ads, and it's giving me, like, I know I always watch YouTube on a computer and stuff like that. Yeah, it's like, oh, the ads do this. It's a tiny picture. It's suggesting other stuff to me, and I'm like, oh, so that's what the YouTube experience is about. Oh well. And here we go. Okay, what else we got here? Corey's saying poison ivy's delicious. Dude, are you high? Okay, I'm not eating that. Okay, what else we got here? Yeah, that's right, Corey. All right, Corey's in my camp here, seeing that the internet's a fad. Yeah, it should be going away any second. It's just a collection of tubes. The internet's a collection of tubes. That's right. So how long could it last? Or these little phone things? Good point. All right. So that's about it for today. Today is Monday, so I'll be back on Wednesday, because I do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern, and we'll just kind of shut her down. And Thanks for all the comments here today, guys. And everyone else, thank you for watching. Bye.